This is CBC Vancouver News.
There's a definite risk that's been associated with alcohol consumptions.
Have a label or not, it's don't change nothing.
Is it time for warning labels on alcohol? That question, as new research shows no safe level of drinking.
I am completely shocked, heartbroken.
The sound of silence. Vancouver's folk music festival has been cancelled for this year, and it may not return.
We really do claim him as our own, and we really do love him.
While local fans of a big Punjabi artist are thrilled he's taking the stage at Coachella. Good evening, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. Canadians are now getting the strongest warnings yet about the health effects of alcohol. A new report finds no amount of booze is completely safe. As Garrett Berry reports, the pressure is now growing to use cancer warning labels on bottles and cans.
In the past decade or so, we've heard that 15 drinks a week for men and 10 a week for women was low risk. But this new report changes that calculation completely. The new guideline, 2 drinks a week for anybody to be in that low risk category. It's driven by a review of 5,000 studies, many of them brand new.
There have been huge steps in our understanding of the relationship between alcohol and several types of disease, including 7 types of cancer. We're also much more refined in our methodologies, and that has had huge impact in the way we understand the relationship between alcohol and cardiovascular disease.
That link between alcohol and cancer is one of the driving forces behind this new guidance. The authors write that it's often overlooked, but recent data suggests alcohol causes 7,000 cancer deaths each year in Canada.
It's a product that is consumed by 80% of Canadians, and they have a right to know about the effects of this type of consumption.
The guidelines state that less than 2 drinks weekly is low risk. Between 3 to 6, they say you're at an increased risk for cancer, breast and colon cancer, for example. And after 7, your risk for heart disease or stroke increases. The risks increase rapidly with each additional drink after that. And these authors are pushing for another change too, not just to drinking habits in the country, they also want to see standardized labels added to alcohol that show just how many serving sizes are in each package.
They are trying to enable people to make more informed decisions for themselves, and I think, that's obviously a good thing to do. I don't know about statements like, quote, no alcohol consumption is safe, right? Like that may be true, but is that really helpful? I think we have to appreciate that alcohol is a part of many people's social events or activities.
The authors say people who want to decrease their alcohol use need support, and that support is information that makes it easier to make hard decisions. Garrett Berry, CBC News, St. John's.
Over the years, we've seen warning labels added to cigarette packs and cannabis, for example. But as the call for putting labels on alcohol intensifies, people we spoke with here in Vancouver are divided over any potential impact.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, they've done it with cigarettes, and there's a definite risk that's been associated with alcohol consumption, so I think it would be good.
I don't think labels help at all. Like I don't think they help having people stop doing what they're doing.
And I guess it's irrelevant for me. It's like I have a label or not. It's don't change nothing if the people continues to use it. And I guess it's the same with cigarettes. I saw people that they have the label and say a lot of things for they stop to smoke, but they continue to do it.
The report also had a local connection. The director of the Canadian Institute for Substance Use Research at UVic was part of the project's expert panel.
When I go to the grocery store and I buy a can of peas, I will know all this detailed nutritional information. And yet when it comes to alcohol, it's sort of a glaring exception with respect to some other substances in Canada, as well as food products in general.
Earlier this month, the World Health Organization also called for alcohol labeling. Health Canada, meanwhile, says it looks forward to receiving the updated guidance and reviewing recommendations. A crash between a truck and passenger vehicle near Castlegar has left 3 people dead including a newborn. It happened on Monday on Highway 3 near the remote community of Thrums, just before 4 p.m. A 26-year-old man, a 25-year-old woman, and 8-day-old baby were declared dead at the scene. The fourth passenger was a 2-year-old. They were taken to hospital and are expected to fully recover. Police say the initial investigation suggests the driver of the car made a U-turn into the path of the pickup.
We'll be looking at every aspect of this investigation to determine if there's any criminality. At this particular point, we don't have that information to suggest that that drugs or alcohol or speed or anything like that was a factor.
Police say the driver of the pickup is recovering from minor injuries. Mounties are looking for 3 men after uncovering what they call a drug super lab, seizing 27 million doses of fentanyl. Over the weekend, the RCMP says it executed 2 search warrants on properties in Abbotsford and Surrey. They found fentanyl, MDMA, cannabis extracts, as well as a mobile drug lab. A super lab is capable of producing huge amounts of illicit drugs.
It's a process of our criminal justice system, so individuals are arrested and charges would have to be approved by Crown prosecutors. That takes some time, and the investigations have to take their course. So individuals are released after being initially arrested unless certain conditions are not met.
Mounties, meanwhile, are asking for help to find 41-year-old Kevin Azzi Gonzalez, 34-year-old Jemroy Ibarra, and 36-year-old Duc Quang Fung. They also believe Ibarra may not be in the country anymore. The BC government is offering more support to workers in the battered forestry sector, $90 million to help create manufacturing jobs. That funding comes a week after Canfor announced the closure of the pulp line at one of its mills in Prince George, eventually putting 300 people out of work. The province says the BC Manufacturing Fund will support innovation in the industry and will be rolled out over the next 3 years. It will focus on shovel-ready projects.
The workers and Minister Ralston, Minister Bailey, and myself had a wide-ranging conversation about making sure that the workers who are affected by this shutdown are looked after. And I made the commitment to them, as did both ministers, that we will be standing with them and supporting them through this incredibly difficult time for them and their families. The provincial government is there for them.
The new money is on top of $185 million already in the budget. The opposition argues the funding is too little, too late. An iconic local summer event will not be returning this year. The Vancouver Folk Music Festival says it has been crushed by post-pandemic bills. And as Zara Premji tells us, it may never come back.
I'm going to cry. It's the first volunteer gig I ever did. It got me hooked.
For over 4 decades, running the Vancouver Folk Music Festival has been a feature in many musicians and music lovers' summer calendars. And the cancellation of the 2023 festival, along with its ominous future, have left many struggling to find the right words.
I am completely shocked, heartbroken, mystified, confused.
It feels like a huge loss, to the cultural heart of this city.
I come from Alabama.
For artists like Don Pemberton, the festival has always been something out of a fairy tale.
It was like this magical land where there's tons of music, tons of great food, music from all over the world, lots of people. And it was like one of the first spaces as a teenager where I could go and just feel totally, completely safe.
And she isn't alone.
The Folk Fest was this magical place.
And for others, it's where they discovered these artists.
Dan Mangan and so many other artists were introduced to me at the Folk Festival.
It is sad. It was something to celebrate each year.
It started in 1978, and COVID has been one of the main culprits of its demise, according to organizers, along with rising costs.
It was a very difficult decision to come to because we really do care about the festival. We felt that there was just too much of a gap in terms of what it would cost compared to what we could bring in.
For this 35-year volunteer, the loss of the 2023 festival and its unclear future is too heavy of a weight to bear.
It's the end of an era for sure. It's the end of an institution. It's the end of a way of life. really.
Many artists describe it as a place they got their start.
Before I played the festival, I could maybe, play to 150 people at the media club. And that weekend was just this momentous, like a gathering of momentum.
On February 1st, members of the society will vote on whether or not to dissolve it entirely, a move the president says is needed if they intend to pay debts, but it won't be an easy decision. Zara Premji, CBC News, Vancouver.
Now, when asked if it will help step in and help the festival, BC's Tourism Ministry tells CBC News it has given the Folk Festival more than $400,000 over the past 2 years through various funds and grants. It adds it's been chatting with industry partners. Some big changes could be coming to a very popular Metro Vancouver lake. Imperial Oil says it may remove its century-old dam on Sasamat Lake in Port Moody. The lake is a big draw for people across the region, especially when it's hot, but the water level could drop by up to 2 meters if that dam is gone. The company says it could replace it, but would prefer to get rid of it altogether. Some city councillors, though, say that would be a huge loss to the community. This week, Vancouver is hosting the National Gathering on Unmarked Graves. The 3-day conference has delegates calling on agencies to release records that might help Indigenous communities identify children who went missing from residential schools. It comes amid reports today that 170 possible unmarked graves were found at a former residential school in Western Ontario. Wamish Hamilton reports.
The conference in downtown Vancouver is about data sovereignty and controlling information. Accessing records, church archival material, and other relevant documents has been a significant barrier for families and communities doing searches. This week's conference is the third in the National Gathering on Unmarked Burials series. Previous conferences were held in Edmonton and Winnipeg. This conference centers around data, but Phyllis Webstad is here to support fellow residential school survivors. She's also here to help heal her own trauma. Webstad wishes speaking her own language could be part of that journey.
I wish I knew my language so that I could have words to properly describe my feelings and what's happening. My mom is fluent, so I've always wanted to sit with her and to come up with some words because the English language does not always cut it when it comes to feelings and emotions.
Phyllis and her mother requested and received their own residential school records. The postal boxes remain unopened, though. Holding the papers and reading about their stolen childhoods is too daunting yet.
I requested my records from the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation. I scanned the documents, but I have yet to sit and really look at it. I haven't been ready.
Non-Indigenous people need to heal from this experience too. There's no longer any reason not to know what from, Phyllis said.
There's no longer a reason for Canadians not to understand what happened to us. There's no excuses anymore. And we just need to keep talking about it, keep feeling the feelings, and that's what we're doing today.
The conference wraps up tomorrow with a second day of workshops and presentations. A fourth conference on Indigenous law is planned for Toronto. Wamish Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
This coverage can be upsetting and provoke painful feelings or memories. If you or someone you care about is looking for support, you can reach the National Residential School Crisis Line at 1-866-925-4419. That operates 24 hours a day and is available for survivors, intergenerational survivors, and their loved ones. Former BC Lions quarterback Nathan Rourke is heading to Florida. Rourke says he has inked a deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars after meeting with 12 NFL teams. He will be a backup to Jaguars starting QB Trevor Lawrence for now. Rourke was named 2022's most outstanding Canadian by the CFL, becoming the first quarterback in Lions history to earn that achievement.
Realization of a dream, right? So, I mean, I've had this, the goal to be able to be down there for a while since I was in high school, and every kind of step that I've taken from there has tried to, led to this opportunity. And so I'm very much looking forward to it and ready to get started.
Rourke still had a year left on his Lions contract, but was eligible to sign a future deal south of the border. The final decision was between Jacksonville, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Cleveland Browns. Only one of those teams is in the playoffs right now, Jacksonville. Black bears in BC normally like to stay in during the winter months, hitting a warm den for a long hibernation until warmer spring. On the North Shore, though, that may not be the case, at least this year. The North Shore Black Bear Society says it receives photos like this every day of black bears in the community, lumbering through the snow, digging through garbage bins. The Society says it's unclear what exactly is leading to this, but it thinks it's due to food being so easy to get. Experts again remind you to do your part by securing your garbage. As we mentioned yesterday, we here at CBC News are interested in doing some special programming about love in all its forms. And you have already sent in some great submissions. Whether it's a windswept romance, a parent or guardian who was always there for you, or that friend who helped you do that thing you should have done or not do, we want you to share your story and help us with our audience. To nominate someone special or a special someone, email us at bcasks@cbc.ca, bcasks@cbc.ca. Make sure the subject of the line of the email is Love Story 2023, and we'll do our best to share it in one of our broadcasts next month.
That's a huge honor, not just for the Punjabi artists, but I shall say to the entire South Asian community.
A big step for Punjabi music. An Indian singer, actor, wildly popular in this province, is taking the stage at Coachella. That story's next. And hello to everyone watching our commercial-free live stream tonight. Thanks for being here. For many people, winter on the prairies isn't always fun. But believe it or not, there is beauty to be found in the deep cold and the snow. Ethan Williams has come up with a list of 5 winter weather phenomena you can enjoy there this season and what causes them.
There's plenty of winter wonder to be seen on the ground or in the sky. We'll start with number 5, sundogs. These appear as halos around the sun and usually show up when it's really cold.
Rays from the sun pass through certain shaped ice crystals, and the ice crystals can either be up in cirrus clouds at very high altitude, or they can be very close to the ground.
And sundogs are just one of numerous types of sun and moon halos. Number 4 is rime ice. We've seen a lot of this recently. And it's the result of dense fog. Fog is made up of tiny water droplets, and when fog forms below freezing, the droplets freeze. And when the droplets freeze on things like tree branches, they make beautiful scenes like this. But rime ice can cling to power lines, and it's been known to cause widespread power outages. Number 3 is a pretty fascinating one, snow rollers. They're like winter tumbleweeds or snowballs, but formed by nature instead of humans. You need 3 key ingredients to form them.
Generally, you need fresh snow, and you have to have pretty mild temperatures as well, so that the snow is sticky. And if the winds are persistent too, not so much gusty winds, but a persistent wind and pushing it, it helps that make those rollers and keep them going.
And they can get pretty large too, like this one seen earlier this month in Saskatchewan. Number 2 will make you scratch your head. It's Fata Morgana. This type of mirage makes faraway objects look inverted or even upside down. It's caused by warm air, from Chinook winds for instance, interacting with cold winter air. This bends waves of light near the ground, creating a mirror image of an object or making it look kind of wonky. It can happen on land or water. And finally, the Aurora Borealis. No, it doesn't just happen during winter, but it is a good time to see it.
The nights are really long, so there's a lot of darkness, and the aurora, is obviously visible when it's dark. We tend to have clear skies in the winter. We have, really cold temperatures, which means the skies are really clear.
And with the sun reaching the peak of an 11-year cycle, that means more solar storms and likely more aurora over the next couple of winters. So the next time you get the winter blues, remember some of the sights on these snowy, cold days and nights are pure gold. Ethan Williams, CBC News, Regina.
His name may not ring a bell to you, but the face might be familiar. Diljit Dosanjh is an Indian singer-actor wildly popular here in BC. This spring, he's going to hit the stage at one of the best-known music festivals on earth. Belle Puri has more from ecstatic local fans and industry experts.
Last June, Diljit Dosanjh was the first Punjabi singer to sell out Rogers Arena. This April, he'll record another first at California's Coachella Valley Music Festival.
That's a huge honor, not just for the Punjabi artists, but I shall say to the entire South Asian community.
Coachella is one of the top music events in the world.
To have Diljit Dosanjh there, who is going to be the first Punjabi artist, he only sings Punjabi. So if he is going to be there and performing there for hundreds and thousands of people, that means, this music is going to be resonating and going to be accepted by all those who are there, irrespective of what music they follow.
Dosanjh is recognized as one of the top performers in the Punjabi entertainment industry. He couldn't be reached for this story. He's on the set of his latest movie shoot.
I saw in an interview that he did recently that he was surprised. He booked this earlier this year or last year, and he said, well, I knew this was a big deal for me. I knew it was a personal achievement for me, but to think that there are so many other people who are happy for me and celebrating this, I had no idea.
Coachella regularly attracts up to 300,000 people. As it diversifies, Dosanjh is one of a handful of South Asian performers on this year's bill. Pakistan's Ali Sethi sings in Bengali, but also in Punjabi.
Seeing Punjabi musicians and musicians with Bengali connections, and musicians who have roots in South Asia, but then are doing music that is very, very sort of cosmopolitan and hybrid and interestingly mixed up. I think those are all really exciting aspects of this year's festival.
Dosanjh is based in India, but regularly in BC, shooting movies and producing music. He's also a brand ambassador for 2 large BC-based companies.
We really do claim him as our own, and we really do love him, and we, every time he breaks another barrier, we all celebrate it.
Dosanjh's success, fans say, is a milestone for everyone. Belle Puri, CBC News, Vancouver.
We're getting some sun, despite the evidence out there. It'll be nice. Johanna will have your BC-wide forecast next.
Bit of advice if you're planning on going to the folk festival, don't dress like this. Far too formal. I mean, if you want to feel like a folk here at the festival, you got to dress in a more casual manner than this.
It's a come-as-you-are soiree. Bring your beach chair and your blanket, and you're set for some fine entertainment. They nick you pretty good to get in, $25 per person per day. But along with the main stage, there are 6 smaller stages with what they call workshops. That's where different performers get together and play.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know a lot about folk music, but one thing that always kind of struck me as fun was the names of the bands. Rare Air, the Horseflies, the Oyster Band. I don't know how good they are, but they've got neat names.
Great names, aren't they?
Good names. Are they any good?
They're fabulous.
Are they?
They're from all over the world. They represent, in many cases, the sort of cutting edge of the culture and the music that's going on in those places, and they represent what sort of folk is today. Love, Trust, and Pixie Dust, this isn't.
Besides music, there's other entertainment. People watching is always fun. Check out this character. He's from Seattle. Says he rode up here on his Magic 10-speed.
Well, Merlin's my name and Magic's my game.
How come you're dressed in a bathrobe?
Because this is excellent concert attire. Later tonight, it's great, you know, I just feel comfortable.
Have you got any good magic you can show us?
I have some magic. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these two sticks together and magically connect them and say the words, I hope they work, because sometimes they don't. So that when I pull one string, the other string will tend to follow.
If that performance leaves you with a thirst or a hunger, no problem, lots of food here. But be prepared to stand in line. Organizers say they've got a good festival lined up, but it's all outdoors, so the only unknown is the weather.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
Celebrate the city's most impactful leaders with Anita Bath at the annual Vancouver Magazine Power 50 Awards. Join the fun February 2nd at the Terminal City Club. Learn more and get tickets at vanmag.com. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox and keep connected with us.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Our BC-wide weather forecast now with meteorologist Johanna Wagstaffe. Joe, out in the rain today, got the trench coat on, popped collar, umbrella, supposedly waterproof shoes. Reminds me of when my dad would have those rubber covers for his shoes back in, I want to say the 80s?
Yeah, you've painted a whole picture. I'm assuming it was an oversized trench coat and you had a soggy newspaper under the arm.
Well, you had to look up your movie times. That's right.
Obviously, yeah, all of this still very relevant today, especially those shoe coverings. I don't know why we haven't brought those back. But yes, all of that gear needed for tonight into tomorrow morning. Let me show you what the radar looks like. That system very much still coming in. This is the latest Pacific low and what has been a train of them, but it's the last in a while. We're going to see a big weather pattern change starting tomorrow afternoon. So we do have to get through, in some cases, a good 40 to 50 millimeters, particularly for Howe Sound, the North Shore, much less amounts as we get into a little bit of a rain shadow down towards Delta, Richmond, and Victoria, Southern Gulf Islands. But everyone else, this is a pretty steady rain story and a wind one as well. We're seeing those wind gusts pick up from the east tonight, 50 kilometers per hour by the Strait. As that cold front swings through tomorrow morning, there it is. We'll see gusts over 50 kilometers per hour for Metro Vancouver in the morning hours, and then clearing out quite dramatically in the afternoon. So we will see some sunshine. Not out of the question, we might even get a good sunset tomorrow afternoon. That'd be nice after such a soggy past few days. Seeing some sunshine in the interior, but this system is headed your way. So you are getting a few bits of weather, I should say. Cranbrook, look for some afternoon flurries, and Prince Rupert, easing rain from what you've got today. But Dan, I think this is the most sunshine I've put in a forecast in quite some time. We get to keep it for Thursday, Friday, a little blip on Saturday, and then cool and clear next week. And I think we're all ready for some of that.
Yeah, and thank you for spoiling us with all that sun. My goodness.
You're welcome. We deserve it.
No kidding. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
That is your late news for Tuesday. Thank you for joining us tonight. For news anytime, check our website, cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. That starts tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock. Have a good night.